We welcome you back in our studio. Tim Howard, Robbie Earle, Rebecca Lowe, Liverpool. This is the fourth time the defending Premier League champions have started this badly. The other three occasions, Blackburn in 95-96, Chelsea in 2015-16. You might remember under Jose Mourinho, they were 10th at this stage, and Leicester City after winning their title in 2016. We maybe didn't expect them to do as well, Robbie's last season, but we didn't expect this.
No. Without doubt. That's probably Arne Slot's worst day in charge of Liverpool Football Club backs. To lose 3-0 away at Manchester City is one thing. To lose 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest is another. And the game doesn't lie. Your eyes don't lie when you're watching that game. And I was all over that game. In that, Murillo and Milenkovic look a better centre-back partner than Van Dijk and Konate right now. Dominic Szoboszlai playing at right-back is a waste because they need his energy and his ability in midfield. Alexander Isak has 2 touches of the ball in the opposition's box. 1 shot, none on target. The numbers that are just not good enough. And when a team don't play transition for Liverpool, so with the ball's turning over in this space in behind, they're struggling to break teams down. That's about as bad as it could have got for Arne Slot today. On a day when we talked about them maybe being part of a title race, we're now looking at them being in the bottom half of the table, probably struggling to get in Europe.
We have to always, with Liverpool this season, talk about what happened in the summer and the loss of Diogo Jota. That, of course, has had a huge effect. And Andy Robinson was even talking about it this week while away on international duty. But you also have to look at the money they've spent and the number of players, top-quality players that they've brought in that haven't done it. So where do you think now the onus lies? On
Arne Slot. Simple as that. When I think about Liverpool Football Club, and I know them very well from all of my time on the teams that I played with, I've never seen them this short on confidence. Like as a group, that's the one thing they don't do. Sometimes they don't recruit right, that's all fine. They're never short on confidence. And I just think they're a little bit square pegs, round holes, which also doesn't scream Liverpool Football Club. You talked about Dominic Szoboszlai, has to be in the midfield, can't be at right back. Wirtz, where do we put him? Do we put him at the 10? Do we put him on the wing? We have to try and find a place for him. That's never been how
have we got to this then?
Well, they've brought in players that you would think, I thought, would hit the ground running. These are proper Premier League players, and they just haven't done it. And so I now think that Slot is looking at thinking, do I have to go back to square one? Do I have to put Andy Robertson at left back? Because I actually brought in someone to replace him this summer. I wasn't planning on doing that. So there's a lot of question. I think he's sort of backtracking as well, which isn't a great thing.
I mean, Liverpool don't panic. They don't fire their managers.
No.
The problem is they're 11th in the table, 6 defeats in their last 7. Where does he stand, Slot?
Well, the optics don't look good, but he's got credit in the bank backs. What he did in his first season in charge and winning that title, he's absolutely not under the pressure of losing his job. But he's got to start to turn things around quickly. And when you spend record fees on a striker who doesn't even have a shot on target, the manager's under pressure to work this out. Yeah,
Isak had just 15 touches all game and was replaced.
If Arsenal win the North London derby tomorrow, Liverpool going to this evening down at 11th, they'll be 11 points behind the Gunners. Yes, I mean, we're getting to that stage where we can't keep saying it's an early stage of the season. We're not yet a third of the way through. But to argue that they're somehow going to be part of this title race is becoming increasingly difficult, isn't it?
It certainly is. Looks like they need a miracle to be anywhere near Arsenal at this moment in time. They lost 4 Premier League games in the whole of last season. That was a 6th defeat in the Premier League already. We're 12 games in. And you listen to Virgil van Dijk there. He's got a challenge on his hand as a player individually and trying to get this group of players some confidence and belief back, along with Arne Slot and the big players in that dressing room. Because for 32 minutes, they came out the blocks quick. Mo Salah looked confident again. He was running at Nico Williams. Gakpo was looking good. But soon as they went behind, it was amazing how it just changed. The self-belief, the atmosphere in Anfield, it was just sucked out of them. And that's because what we've seen so far this season. There's so much disbelief. I mean, the fans left early. It was a really poor performance in the second half. I mean, you have to find something within yourself. And I listened at Virgil van Dijk there. When he comes out, he's normally the most confident person. He looked broke there. He looked like he was a big challenge, and it's going to be for Liverpool to get anywhere near the top of the Premier League.
And the contrast wherever you look with Liverpool at the moment are so stark compared to last season. They've already conceded 9 goals from set pieces, more again today. That equals the entire goals they conceded from set pieces in the whole of last season. The drop-off's been that significant, hasn't it?
It has, and you know, last year I looked defensively. It was something we always thought, they're so good. When they're on the front foot, they scare the opposition defence. And now the problem is when they're on the front foot, I think Liverpool are scared of the opposition when they break away, and it was no different today with Nottingham Forest. You could see they was going to get opportunities. They sat in a low block, they were hard to break down, and then in the transition, Nottingham Forest looked dangerous on every occasion. There wasn't an awful lot of opportunities, but they lose the game 3-0. I mean, they lost 3-0 to Manchester City before the break, and this was just unheard of. At the start of the season, if you're telling me they would have lost 6 games within 12, I'd have said you must be stupid. I really would, but a lot's gone on at Liverpool. Players being injured. Szoboszlai, I think, was a real positive today. I looked at him in that right-back position. Early on in the games, I was saying to Sid, some of his distribution was sensational. And Salah looked bright, but then in the blink of an eye, it flipped. And the confidence just really looked shot.
And listen, I'm not going to go to you on this again because it's not fair to put you on the spot, but just listening to Andy Robertson after that wonderful night for Scotland, speaking about where he'd been mentally in the build-up to the game after the loss of Diogo Jota, it has to be having an effect. As Arne said, he doesn't want it to be an excuse, but it can't be the elephant in the room that we continue to ignore. But for Liverpool, they are miles off it.
Well, how bad, that's difficult to measure, but it was very bad, of course. Playing at home, losing 3-0, no matter which team you face, is of course a very, very, very bad result. Unexpected if you look at the first half hour of the game. In my opinion, a good start from us. Haven't seen us creating so much in half an hour, first half hour of a game, maybe throughout the whole season. I'm not sure because I don't remember every single game now, but we were able to create a lot. And the first time they arrived in our box, they scored a goal. And it's a very difficult cocktail to drink or to have if you miss out on your own chances, and almost every time you concede one, the ball goes in.
You've got a lot. You ended the game with 2 midfielders in defence. So you seem to be moved to Jones and at one point you had Jones and Graham.
Yeah.
It feels like you're having to adapt quite a lot to try and add attackers to keep your shape when players are out of position.
Yeah. Now we had to start the game with a midfielder and right fullback because both of our fullbacks are injured, and Joe Gomez is a player who can also play there, but hasn't trained the whole week. I don't think he was fully ready to start this game. And yeah, when you're 2-0 down, it's not really, in my opinion, really necessary to bring in a defender. And normally you prefer, at least that's what I always do, you prefer to bring in players that can score a goal. So yeah, after I took Ibu off, indeed we played with 2 midfielders in our last line. That's true. We also needed goals, and that's why I brought Hugo in, Ekitike for Ibu, to bring a player in that can score a goal. And just before we conceded the 3-0, I went to a 3-3-4, but because I didn't feel after my first substitution we were able to create a lot. And we know, as you probably even better than me, but I'm here for 1.5 years now, and if you score a goal in this stadium, something can happen. So you need something, you need a goal, you need something to happen. And then after my first substitution with Hugo, I don't think we created a lot. So I thought with 2-0 down, let's take an extra risk. But that didn't work out really well because 2 seconds later we were 3-0 down. Lewis?
What did you make of the first goal, standing with Endoy in the offside position? Premier League say he wasn't in Alisson's side, but obviously there was the thing at the exterior.
Yeah. During the game, people told me that he was in an onside position. Sorry, so that's why I wasn't bothered at all. Now after the game, people tell me that was he in an offside position? Is that 100% sure or?
The Premier League say refs calling goals checked, but he wasn't in the line.
Yeah. Does that implement that he then was offside, or because that's of course the big issue? Then I have to see it back because because I heard immediately that he was on site, I didn't check what the line of vision then was. Now I haven't had time to see it back if he was in the line of vision. Yeah, I've seen us conceding 3 goals this season against Atletico 2 and against Frankfurt 1 that were more in the line of vision of the goalkeeper than the one we scored at City. But yeah, I think no one wants to hear from me now. Me talking about referee decision. If you lose 3-0 at Forest, then I should first of all look at myself and my team instead of that. But it does show you how a set piece or how a goal can change momentum and can change the game. Because before we conceded the 1-0, I think I was just waiting for us to score a goal, and afterwards we hardly created any chance anymore.
Paul? You said then you should look at yourself first. Do you worry that you might? Do you think you can lead the team out of this slump of results? Because it's the same sort of things that are happening each week in terms of set piece goals, missing chances, and I know the players have to. It's down to players at the end of the day.
No. It's my responsibility. If we win or lose, it's my responsibility. So, but what I also see is that the team, and by the way, our fans as well, stay till the end, supported the team till the end, and the players keep on trying till the end. And what I also see today, and that wasn't at City, but at City, we were not the only team that struggles in the first half. But in every other game we've played, we've been the dominant team. And we were able to create chances, and like I said, lately it's almost constantly that we miss our chances and the ones go in that we concede, but that will never continue throughout the whole season. But we need to have that moment of energy of scoring a goal. If you are playing well and you go 1-0 up, then the other team feels like we've played there half an hour now and we're 1-0 down and we hardly seen the ball. But the opposite thing happened. They got a big energy boost from scoring 1-0. So I see a lot of things where in a normal situation the result would have been different, but we are now in a difficult situation, and then you need to do even more to get your results in than when things go in your favor.
That's what I was saying. Do you doubt yourself at all at the moment, or does what you did last season give you and your career as a manager give you the confidence that there is a way out?
Yeah, of course there's a way out, especially with the quality players we are having. So I think no matter if you win or lose, if you make a lineup and if you make substitutions, and when you look back, you're always thinking about, where can we do better, where can we adjust? But that's something else than doubting yourself. But I want to emphasize one more time on the fact that I'm responsible for the current losses. When you are responsible when you're winning, but you're also responsible when you are losing. And that's why I prefer, although you ask me that question, not to talk about referee decisions or other excuses. I can never come up with enough excuses for us to perform, to have the results we have. That is far from good enough, and I'm responsible for that.
Arne, you mentioned that you feel you create enough chances, but do you worry that the players are becoming, too nervous, too pressurised in front of goal? Because it seems when it's the first time in a long time Liverpool haven't scored in consecutive games, does that become like a compound problem?
I don't think so yet. I don't think so yet. But yeah, it's difficult for me to feel what they feel. But if I look at the way we finish these chances, I don't see a player that's lacking confidence or is hesitating. For example, the one with Maka, I think he hits it perfectly, but defended perfectly as well. So no, I don't think that's an issue. But yeah, it's difficult for me to judge because I'm not there in that moment. The only thing I can see is that we do create, and the finishing is as expected. But the blocks and the saves are also of quality.
Matt, last one.
I mentioned the attempt to go to 3-3-4.
Yeah.
Could you explain the thinking behind that? Because sometimes teams sort of forwards on, but nobody's getting the ball progressing to them.
Sorry, last.
Then the players struggle to get the ball actually.
No, I don't think we struggled with that. I think we ended up a lot of times on our sides with Cody and with Mo, but we struggled to create a chance of that because they were defending with so many players in and around their box. So then, if you've tried for 75 minutes with 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackers, although the defenders were midfielders, but that comes from injuries, then the idea was, but again, I'm responsible for that, to make an offensive substitution, which I did last season as well. Took Ibu off, brought Diogo Jota in, and 1 minute later, away at Forest, we scored the 1-1. Then it was brave. Now it's probably stupid.
Thank you.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwanery has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwanery's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwanery could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the 2nd year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwanery back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwanery actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwanery's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwanery's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwaneri, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A Championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapie given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapie is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.